Standing on the front steps of a massive suburban property I had bought with my life savings, I heard words through the window that shattered my heart into pieces. My daughter-in-law Jessica was laughing while declaring how relieved she felt that the old woman was not around to ruin their holiday gathering. My own son Christopher chuckled in agreement, adding that they could finally enjoy the evening without my annoying presence. I stood frozen on the porch with a freshly baked pie in my hands, feeling the cold autumn breeze hit my face while tears welled up in my eyes. The very home they were celebrating inside was paid for entirely by my hard work and personal sacrifices. I had sold my own apartment and handed over every penny so my son could start his family without mortgage stress. Now I was reduced to an unwanted burden. For 3 long years, I convinced myself that Jessica was just stressed whenever she acted cold or distant toward me. I cooked their meals, cleaned their rooms, and even paid off thousands of dollars in their credit card debt without asking for a single favor in return. Christopher had always been my entire world after his father passed away, so I believed that helping his young household was my duty as a loving mother. Hearing their cruel remarks through the glass forced me to face a painful truth that I had ignored for far too long. They did not value my presence or care about my feelings at all. They only valued the financial security I provided for their comfortable lifestyle. Instead of opening the door and pretending I had not heard their nasty comments, I set the warm dish down on the wooden bench and made a quiet decision. I walked quietly back to my car, pulled out my legal binder from the glove compartment, and reviewed the official property document. Because Christopher had promised we would all live together as a supportive family, the legal deed was registered solely under my own name. I had allowed them to live there rent-free while I stayed in a tiny guest suite on the ground floor, thinking we were building a beautiful life together. With clear determination replacing my heartbreak, I called my real estate attorney right there from the driveway. I instructed him to begin the immediate process of listing the home for sale on the open market and drafting an official notice to vacate for the occupants. He was surprised by my sudden decision, but I explained firmly that it was time for me to start living for myself and reclaiming my dignity. After hanging up the phone, I took a deep breath, composed myself, and unlocked the front door to enter the brightly lit entryway. Jessica immediately stopped talking and exchanged a guilty look with Christopher, clearly panicked that I might have overheard their earlier conversation. Jessica quickly forced a fake smile and claimed they were just talking about how much they missed my cooking, trying desperately to cover up her previous cruelty. Christopher coughed nervously and asked why I was standing there in silence without taking off my heavy coat. I looked directly into his eyes, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over my body as I realized I no longer owed them anything. I told them calmly that I had heard every single cruel word they said about me through the open window, and that their disrespect had officially reached its final limit. The room went completely silent as the color drained from the face of my son and his wife. Jessica tried to dismiss her harsh words as a simple misunderstanding, asserting that she was merely joking with her husband after a long day. Christopher stepped forward and pleaded with me to forget about it, emphasizing that family should always forgive mistakes and move forward together without holding lingering grudges over tiny issues. I held up my hand to stop his desperate excuses and pulled the legal notice from my coat pocket, placing it onto the dining table. I informed them that the home was officially put up for sale as of 5 minutes ago, and they had 30 days to pack their belongings and find another place to live. The financial support, free housing, and unconditional tolerance for their disrespect were officially over starting tonight. Jessica began to panic, raising her voice and accusing me of being selfish for kicking them out on a holiday weekend. Christopher begged me to reconsider, pointing out that they could not afford current rental prices on their income alone without my ongoing financial help. I reminded him that adulthood requires taking full responsibility for personal choices, and that treating family with spite and arrogance carries real consequences. Without waiting for another word of fake apologies or angry complaints, I gathered my personal belongings from the guest bedroom and walked out to my vehicle. As I drove away from the property, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over my soul for the first time in years. I checked into a comfortable hotel down the street, ordering a warm meal for myself and enjoying the peaceful quietness. Over the next few weeks, Christopher called repeatedly to apologize and ask for another chance, but I remained completely steadfast in my decision. The property sold quickly for a fantastic price, allowing me to purchase a gorgeous waterfront cottage in a quiet coastal town far away from their toxic dynamic. I used the remaining funds to invest in my own future, taking long overseas trips and rediscovering personal passions I had neglected. Christopher and Jessica were forced to downsize into a tiny rental apartment, finally learning what it takes to cover living expenses without a benefactor. Walking away from ungrateful people, even when they are your own flesh and blood, is sometimes the only way to preserve your self-worth. I learned that true family is defined by genuine love, mutual respect, and basic kindness, rather than blood ties and endless financial entitlement.